Tánaiste, as you will be aware and is generally accepted by Colm Henry explained it to the COVID committee, that PCR testing will identify as positive somebody who's had COVID recently but is no longer infectious, because it's a very specific test. And my question is, it comes from a specific query from a constituent, but I'm sure it's common right across the country. One of their employees went back to England for Christmas, developed COVID, like the majority, but certainly not everybody, recovered from it, is no longer infectious, has recovered. But if they do a PCR test, it will be negative. It will be positive. It will still detect COVID for some time, even though they're not infectious right now. And in fact, science would suggest that they have the least chance of redeveloping it or becoming infectious, hence the suggestion that people not be vaccinated perhaps for 6 months, because there's a period in which the risk is relatively low. So in those circumstances, are they precluded from coming to Ireland even though they're an essential worker and they're needed for essential work? And can the test be modified in those specific circumstances of somebody who has been positive and therefore will test positive even though they're clearly not infectious?
For now, the only exceptions to having to have a negative PCR test result coming into the country is if you're under 6 years of age, if you're part of the transport supply chain, the pilot, the cabin crew, the haulier, or for compassionate grounds, somebody needs to race back to the country in an emergency. We can consider further exceptions into the future, and I will take up what you've mentioned with our medical people and our scientists, but we want to see how this works first before we start adding on new exceptions. I think you'll understand.